Stop trying to prove you are right. Stop trying to win the debate. The communication gurus are lying to you. The assertiveness trainers are selling you a scam. The how to crush your opponent videos are feeding you pure poison. They tell you to stand your ground. They tell you to master clever retorts. They tell you to use psychological tricks to make them back down. They tell you to establish dominance in every conversation. That is not strength. That is a prison. And you are the guard locking your own cell. When you fight to win an argument, you are screaming to the world that your peace of mind is fragile. You are declaring that your self-worth depends on a stranger's agreement. You are handing the keys to your emotional temple to someone who does not even care about you. That is not power. It is pathetic. And the tragedy is that they can see it in your eyes. They can feel the desperation in your voice. They can see you sweating, struggling, and pleading for them to admit they were wrong. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is more exhausting than a man begging for intellectual validation. So stop defending. Stop debating. Stop trying to convince. From this moment on, you are resigning from the court. You are stepping down from the witness stand. I want you to become completely invisible to their provocations. I want you to become utterly, beautifully, and dangerously silent. You are miserable because you have turned other people's opinions into your master. You hear a stupid comment, and your blood boils. You see a post online, and your chest tightens. Your mood drops. You type a furious reply and wait. Minutes pass. Hours pass. You check your notifications to see if they responded. You analyze their insults, searching for the perfect comeback to destroy them. You wonder how they could be so blind. You stay awake at night, rehearsing imaginary debates in the shower. Look at yourself. You are a sovereign human being. You are an adult with a limited number of heartbeats left on this earth. And you are being puppeted by a passing comment from a person who does not matter. You are allowing the ignorance of a fool to dictate whether you have a good day or a bad day. You have turned your mind into a public highway. Anyone can drive through, dump their trash, crash into your walls, and leave. And you just stand there, sweeping up their glass, hoping they'll come back to apologize tomorrow. Modern self-help tells you to find your voice. They tell you to learn conflict resolution techniques. They tell you to practice active listening and assert your boundaries with toxic people. But those are just plastic shields in a volcanic eruption. If you need a technique to keep your cool, you have already lost it. If you need a formula to handle a critic, they already own you. And your composure will eventually shatter. You've tried explaining your side. You've tried being the logical one. You've tried keeping your voice calm and citing facts. And yet, you're still sitting here. Still bitter. Still exhausted. Still feeling like you are constantly auditioning for the role of the smart one in a theater of idiots. The reason you are failing is simple. You care too much about being right. And in the game of human conflict, the person who needs the other to change holds the losing hand. This is not a matter of negotiation. It is a law of nature. When you push your truth onto someone, their ego naturally pushes back. When you try to force them to see, they close their eyes tighter. I don't want you to learn how to argue better. I want you to lose the desire to argue entirely. I want you to reach a point where the misunderstandings of others don't even register on your radar. Where an insult doesn't hurt your feelings, it just reveals their character. Where their silence doesn't leave a void because your internal consensus is already too solid. The moment you truly stop seeking their agreement is the exact moment you become unshakable. Because a person who needs no validation from the crowd is the most terrifying and magnetic force on earth. If you are ready to stop being a beggar for consensus. If you are ready to step out of the arena and build a mind of iron. Then understand this. This channel is not for the comfortable. It is for the few who are willing to sacrifice their pride for actual sovereignty. Subscribe now. Not to give me a metric, but to give yourself a daily checkpoint of discipline. To remind yourself that your hunger for intellectual victory is a slow-acting poison. Join this small circle of the silent. Because the truth we are about to build is too heavy for the weak to hold. 2,000 years ago, Epictetus was born into the ultimate powerless position. He was a slave in Rome. He was beaten so badly his leg was crippled for life. He had no status, no legal rights, and no physical freedom. By modern standards, he should have been the most argumentative, resentful, and bitter man in the empire. He had every reason to scream at his masters, to debate his captors, to fight for his dignity with words. But he didn't. He knew that arguing with a tyrant was a form of self-sabotage. He understood a brutal, beautiful truth. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. The opinions of your master? Not up to you. The ignorance of the crowd? Not up to you. The truth inside your own mind? Entirely up to you. Epictetus said, if a person gave your body away to any passerby, you would be furious. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who insults you, leaving you upset and confused. Look at the average person today. They have freedom, technology, and wealth. But they are absolute slaves. They are begging for agreement under their social media posts. They are terrified of someone disagreeing with their lifestyle. They are morphing their thoughts, their language, and their values just to avoid a confrontation. They are weak. And we live in a culture that worships this weakness. A culture that tells you to defend your truth at all costs, even when your truth is driving you into depression. The Stoics didn't defend their truth. They lived it. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. He had absolute authority. If someone disagreed with him, he could have had them executed with a nod. If he wanted to win an argument, his word was literally law. Yet, he spent his nights in a cold military tent, writing to himself in his journal. Reminding himself not to get angry at the foolishness of the people he had to govern. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot distinguish good from evil." The emperor of the known world did not try to educate every idiot in his palace. He did not try to argue them into submission. He simply accepted their ignorance as a natural fact of life, like the wind or the rain. Because he knew that the moment he engaged in their petty debates, he lost his crown. Not his physical crown, but his sovereignty over his own soul. The Stoic concept of indifference is not about being a brain-dead robot. It is not about silent resentment. It is about what they called Adiaphora, the things that have no bearing on your moral character. Whether a fool thinks you are smart, whether a critic understands your motives, whether a stranger agrees with your politics, these are all preferred indifference. It's nice if they agree. But it does not make you a better human. And it certainly does not define your worth. When you master this, your entire energy shifts. You no longer enter a conversation hoping they understand you. You enter a room and observe whether they are even capable of understanding anything. This is the ultimate paradigm shift. Most people think keeping their cool is about willpower. They think they have to force themselves to breathe slowly, force themselves to smile, force themselves to count to 10. That is exhausting. And it is fake. It's like trying to hold a wild animal by its tail. Eventually, your grip slips, the animal bites you, and you explode in anger. We aren't holding the beast. We are walking out of the cage. This is a matter of identity, not effort. You must shift your identity from a defender of opinions to a source of truth. A defender is empty. They need the other person's agreement to validate their reality. They show up to the conversation with an empty cup, begging the other person to fill it by saying, "You are right." And when the other person refuses, the defender starves. A source is different. A source is self-contained. It does not need the external world to validate its physics. The sun does not argue with the dark, it simply shines. The mountain does not debate the storm, it simply stands. When you are the source, you do not need their validation to know you are correct. Your alignment with reality, your discipline, your daily execution, that is your validation. And when you stop needing them to agree with you, something strange happens. The argument dies before it even begins. This is not a trick. It is simple social gravity. Conflict requires two opposing forces to exist. When one force refuses to engage, the other falls flat on its face. The most powerful person in any room is always the one who can let a false statement hang in the air without feeling the need to correct it. How do you implement the Stoic alternative? You do it by changing what you protect. Stop protecting your ego. Start protecting your attention. When someone says something incredibly stupid, the success is not in showing them their error. The success is in your immediate return to your own work, leaving their words to rot in the air. If they think they won? Fine. If they think you are stupid? Fine. Your character does not lose a single atom of value either way. When you enter a discussion, the goal is not to win. The goal is to test your own judgment. Do you actually understand the topic? Can you maintain your composure under pressure? Or are you just reacting to their tone like an animal? If you find them closed-minded, you walk away. Not out of anger. Not out of pride. But out of simple, quiet indifference. You do not have time to waste on people who want to remain asleep. You have an empire of self-mastery to build. Even if that empire is just the quiet space inside your own skull. This is what modern society hates. They want you to argue. They want you to be outraged. Because an outraged person is easy to manipulate. An outraged person clicks the link, watches the ad, buys the subscription, joins the political tribe. An outraged person is easily distracted. But a self-contained person? You can't control a person who does not care about your opinion. You can't trigger a person who isn't afraid of being misunderstood. The fear of being thought of as wrong or weak is the ultimate chain. It makes you stay in arguments that drain your soul. It makes you explain yourself to people who have already decided to hate you. It makes you compromise your peace of mind for the sake of an applause from fools. Break the chain. Accept the possibility of being misunderstood. Embrace it. Build a life that is so deep, so disciplined, and so focused that the chatter of the crowd cannot even penetrate your walls. Seneca said, "To be feared is to fear. No one has been able to strike terror into others and remain at peace himself." You are imagining that if you don't argue, you will be walked over. You are imagining that if you don't defend yourself, people will think you are weak. But the opposite is true. When you argue, you have already surrendered. You have abandoned your own territory of peace to go begging for validation in theirs. Go back to your territory. Rebuild your fortress of silence. Cultivate your own focus. Focus on your physical body, your deep work, and your mental sovereignty. Make your life so quiet and powerful that anyone who wants to argue with you feels foolish before they even open their mouth. And if they provoke you? Indifference. If they twist your words? Indifference. If they betray your trust? Indifference. You do not punish them with anger. Anger is a confession of pain. Anger means their words successfully pierced your skin. Anger means they are still important enough to dictate your emotional climate. The opposite of validation is not rejection. It is indifference. When you are indifferent, they do not exist to you. They are like the wind outside your window. Sometimes the wind is loud. Sometimes it is quiet. But you don't argue with the wind. You just close the window. This is the invincibility of the Stoics. They did not fight the chaos of the world. They let the chaos beat itself against their shields until it got tired and went home. Stop being a leaf blown by every breeze of opinion. Become the mountain. The mountain doesn't ask the valley for permission to stand. The mountain doesn't care if the clouds cover its peak or if the sun shines on its slopes. It just remains. Cold. Silent. Immovable. And eventually, the clouds pass. And the mountain is still there. The next time you feel the panic of defensiveness rising. The next time you feel the urge to explain, to correct, to debate with someone who doesn't care about the truth. Stop. Breathe. Look at your hands. Remember who you are. Remember the generations of survivors who came before you, who built this world through sweat and silence. Do you really think they did all that so you could lose your peace over a comment section? Kill the urge to be right. Turn off the screen. And go do something hard. Go lift. Go work. Go read. Go build. Put your energy into something that actually returns your investment. Opinions are volatile. The crowd is volatile. The only stable currency in existence is your own character. Invest there. And watch how quickly the world's power dynamics tilt in your favor. When they see that you cannot be baited, they will stop trying. When they see that you cannot be shaken, they will want to anchor themselves to your strength. When they see that you do not need their agreement, they will realize how little they actually know. But by then, you won't even care. Because you will have discovered the greatest secret of all. That the most powerful thing in the universe is not a mouth that can win any argument. It is a soul that has set itself free from the need to have them. Stop begging. Start standing. You are the sovereign of your own mind. Act like it. And let them win the argument while you win your life. The era of your emotional reactivity is over. The time of your sovereignty has begun. Your mind is your kingdom. Govern it with iron. Or watch it fall. The crown is on your head. Do not drop it for a peasant's opinion.